My name is Nicholas Bell, and it is my pleasure to be able to speak with Tayfun Pirselimoglu.
Pirselimoglu, yes.
My wooden English tongue. For your latest film, Kerr, which is Turkey's submission for Best International Feature for the 95th Academy Awards. So congratulations on that. It's traveled the festival circuit a bit. I want to begin, if people aren't familiar with you, you're also a writer, a painter, but in addition to being a director. And this film is based on a 2014 novel of the same name. So if we could start by why you decided to make this adaptation now.
Because this is the first time in my life that I adapted my film from myself. And so it's another challenge. I think I thought it's the time to do something regarding one of my novels. Because while you are writing, somehow you are shooting yourself, your film by yourself. So I just wanted to visualize the film, to show the film, my own film in my brain to the audience. So it's another experience here for me.
In your own, perhaps literary inspirations, you can't, I feel like you can't talk about this film without saying something Kafkaesque. But in another interview, you talked about the difference between the written and visual medium and about how images construct their own reality. So when you're approaching writing versus filmmaking, what references are you drawing upon visually, especially in the construction of Kerr?
Yeah. First of all, I'd like to express that using the Kafkaesque, it's something just to express our feelings about the life we are living in. So I do believe myself, we are in a period of time that it's outrageous and everything is so absurd. So just because of this absurdity, people try to find something to express as a Kafkaesque, but I think it's more than Kafkaesque, something we have to find another expression for the situation that we are living in. And so, in fact, what I'm trying to do is just to visualize what's happening today through my view, which means that just to show the people that we are living something that is totally absurd, and it must be somehow I have to express this through my way of making a film. So reconstructing the reality. But this reality, already it's something that is so absurd, so it's not so hard to find something to do new.
Right.
So it's just to express the situation in a time. The time is indefinite, and there's no name, so it can be happening everywhere in the world in any time.
I agree that it's beyond Kafkaesque. Kafka is very bleak, but there's actually a lot of humor in Kerr. It plays like a black comedy quite a bit, and I often thought of Buñuel, Exterminating Angel, or Discreet Charm of the Bourgeoisie in particular. There's a very funny element to it. So I was just wondering if there were anybody that you were kind of trying to speak with. But another statement you just made that I like is the use of the tunnel. There's a scene in a tunnel with in the holes that are popping up all over. There's kind of simultaneous directions going on of this universe falling apart. If we could speak about the look of the film, Andreas Sinanos was your cinematographer.
Yes.
And talk about, if you could, the approach of the look, because it opens up quite a bit at the end. And to me, that was the most frightening part, is kind of when he's outside. That is when it starts to become more of kind of a noir horror film for me.
Yes, it's first of all, it's not easy to name it as a style, but it's a kind of noir. And you mentioned about this humoric approach. I like very much throughout my films, and in this film, it's this humoric approach is more visible, and it's working with Sinanos is also something very important for me because I have been working with him more than 3 films.
This is the
This is the third one,
film.
and we're preparing the new one. And so to visualize this world is only possible to work with a person who knows my image creation. So this is so this holes and everything. It's of course they imply something that can be seen in another way for the audience, but making it together with a master is something very important for me.
And speaking of collaborations, it's my understanding that a lot of the cast and crew you worked with before, except for your lead, this is the first time working with him.
Yes, it was also another story that normally when I write the scripts, I visualize the people, the characters, but this time somehow it was very hard, so I couldn't decide exactly who is the leading guy. And then somehow I met this actor. He's brilliant theater acting. I know him from theater. So normally I don't make any audition, and I just talk to the actor and actresses to just express myself and to get the impression from them. So this time is also we met in a coffee shop, and just on the moment that I decided that this is the right guy. So, and I think I was right, and I'm really happy about my choice.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed his performance because he's walking through this very confused universe. But I like the scene where it's almost an hour into the film where he finally asks, "What's going on here?"
What's going on here? This is exactly what I'm asking. What's going on here?
But it takes the murder of the barber, I think, where there's blood all over and he's finally alarmed and he started to smoke. Yeah, I found that very enjoyable. In the time difference between when you wrote the book and today, were there any updates that you're trying to speak to? Because of course, following a global pandemic, it's hard not to see something like COVID-19 or perhaps a new governmental regime in Turkey. I know people have tried to interpret that, but was there anything specific that you were bringing to it, 8 years later?
I think everything's getting worse from the beginning of writing the book until today. And normally people find me very pessimist, but in this world, it's not easy to be optimist. Everything is happening all around us. So I do believe we are closing to the end somehow. And this is the good thing. In this sense, I'm very optimistic because we have to come to the end to restart again. Mm-hmm. And so I'm just trying to show the people that we are in a situation that's getting worse and worse, but there will be an end. And inshallah, we say inshallah, hopefully that we will just open the new door and we just jump to the other side somehow. I don't know how and when, but almost we're at the end.
Well, and the title of the film, Kerr, is, as I understand it, kind of a forgotten word, which means restarting after giving up. Yeah.
It means to stop and restart again. Stopping, as it's a kind of vicious circle. But this is exactly the life for me. Everything repeats, we come to the end and we restart again. This is why this is an Arabic word, and I like very much the sound also.
Yes, I like that resonance as well. And I also was thinking of, something like Thomas Wolfe's "You Can't Go Home Again," but your film is more like you definitely don't want to go home again because you can get stuck there in the past. And I know you had another quote I really liked about how cinema makes you aware about your wounds. And that theme of repetition, about how repetition can be hell, which made me think of an Emerson quote about consistency. To you, is that one of the wounds you feel revealed in Kerr?
I couldn't get exactly what you mean. Would you repeat it?
The wounds that Kerr is showing us, if
The wounds.
yeah.
The walls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Yes.
yes. I'm going off a quote of yours from another interview, but about how cinema makes you aware about your wounds, like
Yeah.
in what Kerr is making us aware of, I think, in its repetition. Because as you said, there will be an end and we can restart, but there's also something very hellish about having to keep repeating yourself in life situations, and about how that's really what's also degrading us.
Yes, it's what I do believe exactly for repeating is I feel that we are just walking on a circle, and we start from the beginning, and when we come to the end, then we restart again. It sounds very catastrophic. But on the other hand, there is a good sign for this, because when you restart and you are a new person, to be a new person means that you have something new and you have something to go and to come to the end again. But this every repeating, it just also this kind of improvement. You feel the next step at the end is a sign of an improvement. You are a new person.
Transformed, yeah.
So this kind of Nietzschean approach, maybe, but this is totally my personal feelings. So in my films, I always finish the film exactly the same picture of the beginning. It's just a repetition of life and the repetition of cinema, on the other hand. So, and during this journey on the circle, so we meet some people. And so this interaction takes us together to some point, and then we stop this interaction, we start again somewhere else. So this is a kind of very complex expression of my art, also my way of life.
I find it to be a very complex film. There's a lot going on underneath the surface. To use, again, some of your own words, it feels like a very intuitive film where we're feeling for this main character, as you know, we're kind of lost navigating it with him, which I really enjoyed. You mentioned you're working on a new project. It's called Idea. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
And dealing with identity, as I understand it.
Yes, it is also one of my obsession about the identity problematic is something that is also I'm dealing with. It's in my films, and changing of identity to be just to push you to be someone else. So voluntarily or involuntarily, just changing the identities. So I shot a film before. I'm not him. It's something about a person who's taking someone else's identity voluntarily. And in the next project, it's again changing of identity of a person, but involuntarily. So this is another challenge for me.
Very interesting. I haven't. I tried to find it here, but I couldn't. I'm Not Him, which I read earned some comparisons to Vertigo, Hitchcock's film as well.
So yes, also some
Critics.
Antonian film also maybe.
I hope to catch up with that. It sounds very interesting, but Idea sounds good. I understand you're also writing a new book.
Yes, in all of my, not all, but most of my novels is something related to this identity problems, and just to someone is treated as someone else, or to lost himself in the societies of this chaotic society, then find himself in another hard situation, and to find his own way. This is it's a very, it is philosophically, it's a dilemma, and I like very much to be lost myself in my dilemmas.
Yes, yeah, which this film has that feeling too of being kind of lost in it, and there is no real resolution in the end, which I also really
There is
like.
no resolution. There is no we don't, ambiguity is the main word maybe, because nothing is so clear, and we try to make everything clear, but unfortunately we can't. So this ambiguity of is something very, very valuable.
Yes, and you know, that's to me, that's what makes a film really stay with you, because you're not quite sure, and that's the
Yes,
point.
I think this is the main point for a filmmaker. I think Jacques Tati said once, it's a good film starts when you leave the theater, because then you have a question mark in your mind, and then you live together with this question mark, and they're asking the question in your brain. This you can't. Of course, you have an answer for this, but you are not sure about if it's the right answer or not.
Right.
So all of our lives, I think, is just searching the right answer. But the most important thing is just to not to find the right answer, but to search behind the question.
Ask the questions.
Yes.
And traveling with, this is a voyage with a question, with a lot of questions all together with you.
Yes, I agree with that. I had a professor tell me once, if you leave a theater feeling completely satisfied, something's wrong.
Yeah,
Exactly.
he's the right guy.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you for taking the time to speak with me today. I greatly appreciate it. I quite loved your film, and I hope that it continues to, people continue to be exposed to it, and maybe allow some chances to see some of your previous films, at least on my end. But yes, thank you for your time today.
We thank you. Thank you very much.
You.